This is a Mega Man Link PT. It's a toy from around 2005, and you could use the Mega Man Navi to battle viruses and other Navis. These devices utilized chips like this. This one in particular is a Navi chip. This Navi chip tells the PT that I want to cross with Mega Man and play as a different Navi. These chips are pretty cool because inside of them, unlike previous versions, they use an EEPROM. This EEPROM holds information about what the Navi is, its stats, and even some sprites. And at the time, I thought this was pretty cool. Obviously, because it's an EEPROM, I clip onto it and read and write data. But I also knew that these pins could be used to do the same thing, since with these, you slot them in, and the Link PT uses those pins to read and write the data. So I thought about, how can I utilize that pin functionality to read and write the data? So I took the chips, I looked at their pins, and I ended up making this. This is what I called the Link Analyzer. This Link Analyzer has pogo pins, so you can slot chips into it, and then utilized a Arduino Nano to read and write the data to companion software. The issue with this is that the boards had too much room to wiggle, and I didn't line them up perfectly every single time. And the chips themselves could also be moved back and forth a good bit. The chips also face down, which was not ideal, because you want to look at the art. Outside of physical issues, the firmware had its own set of issues with writing, and the companion software was pretty terrible. It ended up making Windows 8 look pretty damn good. And I didn't like that. I wanted this to be perfect. And everyone wants their project to be perfect. But I struggled with how to make this better, how to improve it, especially just the physical issues. So around a month ago, I was contacted by Neto on the Mega Man server, or Discord server, to get this device to work with the BattleChip Stadium arcade machine. That arcade machine utilized these chips to battle Navis on it, and even gave you other chips as rewards. I ended up giving them some software that allowed that to work, but then I wanted to take it a step further, and I created this controller for the BCS system. It has a Navi slot and 3 normal chip slots, and then 2 buttons. While the controller idea didn't really end up working out, it did make me think about the slots differently. Now, on this design, whenever I push in a chip, it goes in perfectly every single time. There's no wiggle, the boards themselves don't wiggle, and the chips have their art facing up. So then I thought about, well, this worked out pretty well. How can I take this and make it into a Link Analyzer? And that's whenever I decided to create this, the Link Analyzer 2.0. I took the ideas from the BCS and made the slot PCB not move around. The chips go in perfectly every single time, and they face up. And then it's much slimmer. You use USB-C. The cover can come off if you need to fix something. And I end up improving the firmware. Now it can write in batches. It makes it much faster, and I know whenever it's done. And then the companion software was improved by going to a web serial, redesigning the entire thing, making it faster, more consistent, and not require one of these devices. And I want to show you that now. Here's the new companion software, the Link Analyzer Editor. Here you can view the link data from backups or from the chip itself. And you can also view the chip catalog to see all the different link chips. But let's go ahead and take a look at the Navi editor. You can click Connect, select your Link Analyzer's 0 port, click Connect again, and after a few seconds, they'll be connected. And at this point, you can read the data directly off the chip if you want to. We'll go ahead and do that. And then you can see what Navi it is, and then its different stats. With its different stats, you can update it to be whatever you want within a limit. So So here we have 255, so we can obliterate those viruses and other navies. And you can also see the different sprites that are held on the chip itself. We have our lose, win, cross, and unknown sprite. The unknown's unknown because we haven't seen it. But if you do know what that is, then let us know in the comments so that we can update this and for better understanding. Both those sprites, you can go and save backups if you want to. So you can keep them for yourself later or edit them. And on the editing topic, you can also upload new sprites. Let's go ahead and go to Paint to do that. So here I have a 32 by 32 canvas. We can put in whatever we want. So let's just draw out the word hi. And if you're making something that's bigger than this, just keep in mind that the right 2 rows or columns and the bottom 2 rows are not displayed on the PET. They are shown in the app, but just not used. This is because of the way that the data is stored. We'll go ahead and click File and Save as a BMP. Save that as untitled. Then go back to the app, and we'll go ahead and change out the cross sprite, that new one. But if you wanted to just use one from a different Navi, you can do that. You can just upload the one that we saved earlier from the cross sprite. And once you've changed the data to what you want, then you can go and click either saving a backup. You can save a backup of that so you can send it off to a friend or share it to anyone that you want to. But you can also click this and write it back to the link chip so that whenever you plug it into the PET, it'll work. Once you have that and you're done, you can click disconnect and remove your chip. And then after that, we can go over to the chip catalog. Here you can see that we have all of the different Link Navi chips data here. Within this, you can search. So if you want to go for Canon, the search will go and search by anything in this top bar. So searching for Canon will show all the different Canons. Searching for the ID of 1 will show anything with 1 in its name or its ID. So in this case, we have Vulcan 1, Spreader 1, and so on. Let's say I want to search for something a bit more specific. I want to search for the class Omega. So I can type in the field name and then my search term and search for that. It shows all of the Mega chips. Now, we don't have all the data for every single one of these chips since between the PET, Arcade, and GBA, they all have different stats or different effects even. So we're adding that as we can. If you want to help out with that, you can put a pull request into the GitHub for this project and we'll merge it in. Now, along with the normal search method, you can also connect your link analyzer and plug in a real chip, normal real chip, and use this read button. And when you do that, it'll populate it with the ID of the chip that you inserted. So in this case, I inserted one that had 95. And it searched for that. It does show 195, but like I said before, that's because it has 95 in the ID. Now, I hope you like all of these updates between the firmware, the hardware, and the new companion app. If you do have one of these devices from the previous generation, you can use this app and update the firmware, and then you'll get all of the extra improvements that aren't hardware based, which is still significant. And if you want to see what might come or want to see any of my other videos, then I suggest subscribing to me. Comment if you liked everything, like the video, and I'll catch you later.